We're only just getting started with Battlefield 5 Chapter 4 Defying the Odds. The Al Sundan map released last week, or it kind of half-released last week. We're going to get the Conquest version in the very near future. We're also getting the Marita map this month. We are now in July. That map launches later on in a couple of weeks' time. We've got 2 close quarter maps. They're coming in August. And plenty of new weapons and gadgets are going to be released every single week throughout the Tides of War as well. But it seems that even more content is on the way during Chapter 4, and we've got some more inklings about what's going to be happening in Chapter 5 as well. This information has been found in the files by notorious data miner Tempoyal. Even more content coming our way very soon, which is quite exciting. We're going to talk about that in today's video, but before we get into it, an info message from our sponsor Elgato, and this is kind of a heads up this week. Amazon Prime Day is drawing closer. I believe it's happening in mid-July, and sales on Elgato products are going to be coming with it with some discounts. So if you're in the market for game recording hardware or streaming hardware, you might want to stay tuned to my channel in the next couple of weeks. Once I find out what those discounts are and what products will be discounted, I'll keep you guys in the loop. So if you were thinking about buying some of this stuff, maybe hold off for a couple of weeks and you might be able to save yourself some money. But in the meantime, if you want to learn more about Elgato's products, there's a link at the top of the description. Go and click that and you'll head over to their product pages. Okay, so let's jump into the files. Tempoyal has uncovered a bunch of new mentions and additions since the latest patch, which has given us a good idea of what we can really expect to arrive in the full game soon, but as always, I will preface this with my usual warning. Any information that comes from a data mine just is not official, and you should be taking it with a pinch of salt. There's no guarantee that this content will 100% end up in the live version of Battlefield 5, and the best thing that you can do when you hear this information is wait for official DICE and EA confirmation that this content is coming. There's no guarantee that this will make it into the final game yet. Starting off with a few clarifications for weapons coming to the chapter. Week 3 of Defying the Odds, we're going to see the Polish Carbine 1938M. This is an assault class weapon. It's a semi-automatic carbine. It loads its bullets through a receiver on the top, and it gives you a maximum of 10 rounds to fire before you need to reload, and that makes it kind of similar to the Gewehr 43. So it'll be interesting to see how those two differ. Week 9, we're going to see the C96 pistol carbine, likely joining the P08 pistol carbine in the recon class. We saw this one in Battlefield 1, it was a tanker pilot weapon for quite some time, and then the final DLC came along and broke off those shackles, and we saw it become a main weapon for infantry classes, or certain infantry classes. They could then use this weapon. Week 10 has the Fairburn Sykes fighting knife as the Tides of War unlock, and according to the files this will be an all-black variant of the existing weapon already in the game, so not the greatest Tides of War unlock, but if you're a collector like me, then you're definitely going to want to unlock this one. And then for week 11 or week 12, it's not 100% clear which week it is yet, we have the Breda PG, a burst-fire assault rifle for, of course, the assault class. This, for the longest time, has been heavily linked to the 5v5 game mode that was supposedly coming to Battlefield 5, but as time has gone on, those links have slowly been taken away, and now the weapon appears to be a reward that can be used in any portion of the game, and that makes me quite happy. Gating content into different modes is not a great idea, and I'm happy to see that DICE is not going down that route with this weapon. The Swiss K31-43 rifle that we've spoken about before, new info suggests that this weapon is going to have an integral scope on it, and that's going to enable the user to switch between 1x and 3x magnification. Potentially, and this is unconfirmed at the moment, this feature will become more powerful if you choose the high power optics specialization within the upgrade tree, where the scope then shifts to a base 3x magnification, and then you can switch it to boost up to 6x magnification. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work in practice. Some mentions of the jungle carbine have been spotted in the files. This is the affectionate name given to the rifle number 5 Mark I, made by the British, and it was given to airborne forces where a lighter, shorter rifle was needed. Now, most of its action was seen after the war in the Far East in campaigns like the Malayan Emergency, hence the jungle carbine name. The mentions in the files might suggest this weapon is on the way at some point, but it's a ways off if that is indeed the case. There's no model or anything like that. We're just looking at mentions at the moment. And a new gadget has been found in the files, barbed wire. This will be a gadget that can be placed down on the floor and it will spring out into a wider surface area, and it's going to slow down and damage players who end up passing through it. So if you've played Rainbow Six Siege, then you're going to be very familiar with this kind of gadget. Here in Battlefield 5, you're going to have 2 of them to throw down on the ground, and it is highly likely that this will be an area denial tool, so you can whack it down in a doorway if you want to stop people coming through. That could be really effective in the 5v5 game mode. Okay, moving on from weapons, we're now going to take a look at some future cosmetics. And yes, I can hear many of you groaning in the comments section, but I think what's been uncovered here is quite interesting. It's not just, weapon skins and soldier outfits. It's something a little bit different. So first of all, we're going to talk about charms. These are like small little trinkets that you can attach to the side of your weapon. And again, just like barbed wire, if you've played Rainbow Six Siege, then you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. These charms are going to attach to your weapon via a little loop mount on the side, and they have physics to them as well, so they're going to sway backwards and forwards as you move your weapon and as you move your soldier around. It's not clear how you're going to obtain these at the moment, whether they're going to be paid cosmetics or standard unlocks within the game, or if you can get them with company coin, but they are still work in progress, and they aren't complete yet, so it's likely in the future we'll get some more concrete information on this stuff. But at the moment in the files, you can currently select from a dog tag, a fishing lure, a fossil, a French medal, a pine tree, and a tally counter. But with the system now in place for these kind of cosmetics to be active within Battlefield 5, really the possibilities are kind of endless. If DICE wanted to make these available for unlocking for completing challenges, obtainable for company coin and for boins, and they were relatively cheap if they were for boins, then I think they'd sell like hotcakes. These are little bits of flair that you can see all the time since they're attached to your weapon. And I think people would be far more likely to buy a few of these for their guns than they would be a full outfit for their soldier that they can't see for 99% of the match. People want to see the cosmetics that they buy, and that's why I think the weapon skins in Battlefield 5 will be more popular with players. If you add charms into the mix and you can see those all the time on the side of your gun, I think people are going to buy those if they look cool and they are interesting. We've also got some information on Chapter 4 booster packs coming to the game, and the reason that I'm interested in these is because they now contain XP boosters for your chapter rank, and these packs didn't include that in Chapter 3, so they are a little bit different. So the starter booster pack, that's going to include the following. You get 500 boins, you get 1 epic soldier set for the allied faction that's called Wild Eagle, you get a 20% XP boost for your chapter rank, and you get 4 Damascus weapon sets. One for the Sten, the Lee Enfield, the Bren, and the Sturmgewehr. And then the premium booster pack goes a little bit further than that. You get 2,000 boins, and you get 2 epic soldier sets, the same Wild Eagle for the allies that you got in the starter pack, and the Sturmwolf for the Axis faction, and then you get the same 20% XP boost for your chapter rank, and the same Damascus weapon sets as well. Right now, we don't have any real-world pricing for these sets, because these aren't available for boins. You get boins in the packs, but these are ones that you literally pay real-world money for. But let's touch on those XP boosts for a moment. I know some people were making a little bit of noise about XP boosts when they were revealed during Chapter 3, but since these are being tied to your chapter rank, and they only reward cosmetic items, I'd say they're basically harmless. If you want to pay some real money for a bit of a boost for your chapter rank to unlock cosmetic items a little bit faster, then you can now do that. Of course, this stuff is completely optional, so if you've got no interest in cosmetics at all, then, this doesn't apply to you. And then, big finish to the video, beach landings and the Greece Grand Operation. Let's start with the beach landings because I know that's really exciting. This appears at the moment to be code and data linked to the Pacific Theater, so that's Chapter 5 of Battlefield 5, and it's going to be some form of game mode. Right now, the game mode setup shows a split into 2 different phases within that mode. Phase 1 is about building a beachhead. Attackers, they start on sea, and they need to build beachheads on the beach to gain spawn points on land, and defenders, naturally, they need to destroy these beachheads and eliminate the attackers to stop them from starting an invasion. And then Phase 2, it's all about moving up and arming objectives. The attackers will win a round once they've destroyed all objectives on the map, and they also have to defend the objectives from being disarmed, so it's a little bit like Rush and Airborne mixed together. And then the defenders, they need to stop the attackers at all costs, or they'll have been invaded. This sounds like the fantasy of the Pacific Theater that I think we've all been waiting for. Battlefield 5 has largely failed to capture any of those iconic World War II moments so far with any of its launch or post-launch content, but we could finally be seeing some of that happen with the Pacific Theater in the autumn. We know Iwo Jima is one of the maps coming in 2019, one of the 3 that DICE is planning for the Pacific Theater in 2019, possibly more coming in 2020, and invading the beaches of Iwo Jima as the Americans and pushing up and maybe capturing Mount Suribachi, that could be absolutely incredible. So I'm really excited for this game mode. And finally, the Greece Grand Operation. When Marita goes live later on in July, this Grand Operation is going to be introduced, and it will likely become the focal point of the Tides of War for a week or so. Days 1 and 2, they're going to be set on the Marita map, and then days 3 and 4, if you reach day 4, will be set on Mercury. So, all in all, we've got a little bit more of a clear picture about what could potentially be happening throughout Battlefield 4's 4th chapter, and a little bit of information about Chapter 5 as well. But I will remind you at the end of this video, as always with data mines, please remember this is unconfirmed information coming from an unofficial source. So, take things with a pinch of salt and wait for official confirmation from EA and DICE. But I thought it's important to bring you guys this information because everyone wants to know about what's going to happen with Battlefield 5. Thanks very much for watching today, and until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.